Welcome to The Freight Break with your host, Dan Lindsey, the podcast that cuts through the noise of the trucking industry. We're talking real conversations, real relationships, and real insight that keep the wheels turning.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to this episode of The Freight Break, your go-to podcast when it comes to navigating practical topics and challenges in the freight industry, the flagship podcast of the Broker Carrier Summit and the BCS Freight Network. I am your host, Dan Lindsey. We got a great show for you today. We have some barrel and burn. We have a breaking it down segment with my good friends Alan Trevino and Enrique Bello from Grupo On Time in Monterrey, Mexico, talking about the challenges of cross-border freight and operating a trucking company in Mexico. Before we get into it, let's kick it over to our sponsors over at TIE Software.
Meet TIE Software's workflow automation, built to help LTL and FTL freight brokers boost productivity. Use custom prompts to automate repetitive tasks like status updates, carrier changes, and shipment alerts right in the platform. Manage operations with automated scheduling, carrier management, and real-time updates. Workflow automation removes bottlenecks, freeing you up to grow your business. Best of all, it's easy to set up and use. No coding or tech skills required. Choose your workflows and TIE does the rest. Book a demo today and see how TIE makes efficiency happen.
Also, a quick reminder, if you have not yet signed up for the next Broker Carrier Summit, we are going to be in Orlando October 28th to the 30th. This is an event you will not want to miss. It is quickly becoming the best, most profitable, most valuable week in freight. So if you have not signed up yet, go to our website, www.brokercarriersummit.com or bcsfreightnetwork.com and sign up today. Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Barrel and Burn, the part of the show where Dan shares his favorite whiskeys, scotches, and bourbons. This, as you can see, is an everyday pour for me, as close to an everyday pour as there is. Maker's Mark is a staple for me, honestly. One of my favorite things in the entire world is a Maker's 46 on the rocks with some Dr. Pepper. I call it the pill. Special homemade Dan Lindsey version of a Jack and Coke. When I go to conferences or when I travel for business, if I'm working, I'm drinking a Jack and Coke. If I'm not working, I'm drinking an old-fashioned. Well, when I'm at home working, I drink a Maker's 46 and Dr. Pepper. This one in particular is finished with French oak staves. It's very smooth, it's creamy, it's got a good texture. I don't know if I drink it often enough. Maybe I sense some vanilla in there. It's kind of spicy. It can be kind of spicy. But again, Maker's 46 French oak. I would use this in any cocktail, especially an old-fashioned or a Jack and Coke. So when it comes to grading this bad boy, the Maker's 46 French Oaked, when it comes to price, for as much as you're going to get with this bottle, about 7 or 8. Again, you're going to get a lot of bourbon with it. It's very diverse. You can use this in any cocktail and not break the bank and not hate yourself for it. Flavor, solid 5, middle of the road. Nothing special, nothing stand out, but solid everyday pour. For the cigar for today, I have a treat for everybody. We're going to be showing off the Davidoff, the late hour Churchill. I will tell you, this is my favorite cigar ever, anywhere. Obviously, it's Davidoff. It's a premium cigar. It's Dominican. This one will set you back about $30. But if you have a couple of hours to sit and relax and enjoy a fantastic cigar, I highly recommend the Davidoff Churchill. It's actually aged in Scotch casks, which is appropriate because Winston Churchill was renowned for his consumption of Scotch. It's got an Ecuadorian wrapper to it, medium, maybe full body. Oddly enough, this is the first cigar that I've been able to review that actually smells like tobacco. The draw is remarkably even. The burn is perfect. If you get this, as long as you keep it in your humidor and you keep it between 69% and 71% humidity, it's going to have a remarkably even burn. So if you're looking for that, I actually smoked one of these the other day and the burn got all the way, I think it was about a third of the way down without breaking. It was fantastic. It was very satisfying. A very good everyday smoke if it's in your budget. Honestly, it's not in my budget because one of these bad boys sets you back again about $30, but very good smoke, fantastic, and well paired with a Macallan or today's Maker's 46. All right, everyone, welcome back to this segment of Breaking It Down. As you know, there are a ton of challenges that we experience in the freight industry every single day, every single week of the year. One of the markets that is the most challenging to navigate, especially for U.S. companies, is the Mexican trucking industry. And so here to break it down with me today, breaking down the Mexican trucking industry for me, with me are my good friends Alan Trevino and Enrique Bello from Grupo On Time in Monterrey, Mexico.
Hey, Dan, how you doing?
Hey, Dan.
It's been a while. I think it's been a few weeks since I've seen you.
Yeah, I know. We have a good dinner last time we see you.
Dude, that dinner was fantastic. It was some of the best food in my life.
You should come soon.
Yeah. So those of you who don't know, I tried octopus for the first time in Mexico, which for me didn't make any sense, but it was fantastic. Give us an overview of your company and how you came to the freight industry.
We started on the 90s, of course. I'm 33, so I didn't start in the 90s. What is my dad? He's the founder of Group On Time. They started the business with GM on the 90s. So that's why we developed the expedited industry in Mexico. At the beginnings, no one's believes that the expedited industry is gonna be like a good one in Mexico because we move like 1 or 2 pallets, and sometimes another customer told us about, why are you moving 2 pallets instead of the 53 dry van? It's like, well, we're specifically in our expedited industry. So that's the beginning of the company. We have been more than 30 years doing the same. And in 2011, the second generation started getting involved on the Mexico and the US industry. I mean, considering to innovar, considering to move on products from Mexico to US and US and Mexico as well.
So you guys were one of the first expedite companies in Mexico. Is that correct?
Yes, one of the first ones to be CDPAT.
And Enrique, how long have you been with Grupo On Time?
So I've been directly involved with On Time for about a year and a half. Indirectly involved probably about 7 years. My past life with my previous employer, Grupo On Time was probably one of our best carrier out of Mexico, especially on the expedited portion. I got to meet Alan and Juan, and eventually they made me fall in love with the vision, with the company core, and I ended up switching over to them, and I'm kind of in here now, continuing innovating with them, pretty much bringing on new products. Not only are we on the road, we're also in the air now.
So, and you guys focus exclusively still on expedite, or have you branched out, as you mentioned, to over the road?
We're exclusive still. Our main core business, what everybody knows us for, is expedited freight. We're slowly trying to, and it's part of the implementation that I came in for, explore other services as far as consolidated, port drayage, but that's all part of the logistics division of the company, which is what we're slowly continuing to grow. But our main core business and what everybody knows us as and what we're extremely great at is our infrastructure for the road freight in Mexico.
It's kind of hard to implement unbelievable services in Mexico because of our culture. Believe it or not, it's kind of different than the US. For example, if we want to hire to be a partner carrier with another company, if they mess up or if they failure with the service, we will be impacted with our customers. So it's kind of difficult. I mean, it's not possible, but we have to take care very good the relations that we create with other partners.
So talk to us a little bit about that, because here on this segment, on the Breaking It Down segment, we want to address some of the challenges that people go through and companies go through in the industry. What are some of the things that you see that are unique to the Mexican marketplace that you guys have to navigate on a regular basis that might be different than some of the challenges in the U.S.?
I think, first of all, it's the US, not all, but a lot of people from US don't know the Mexican market or the Mexican industry. It's like they're scared about Mexico because they heard a lot of stuff on the news. I mean, some stuff are true, the other ones not. But first of all, it's the insecurity in Mexico. It's, I mean, getting our heart to be better than we want. The infrastructure about the highways, it's unbelievable. I mean, if you've been in Mexico, you can notice that the highways is not as well as US. For example, you can if you calculate an ETA for 100 miles in US, probably it's 2 hours. In Mexico, it could be 3, 4, or 5 hours. So sometimes they don't understand why, because Google Maps said 3 hours or 2 hours, but the reality in Mexico, it's kind of different.
Yeah, we saw that during our during my brief time there. Just navigating the traffic patterns are extremely different than they are here in the States.
Yeah, that one's and one we have like 5 years getting involved with retenes. I don't know, have you heard about that word? It's like police checkpoints on the highway.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that the US that they're asking you for documents. They're asking you for we don't know what, but it's getting hard because they're part of the insecurity problem. So that's one of the hardest parts of the Mexican trucking company.
Well, and specifically when it comes to safety, so you and I were talking about this. You were sharing some stories with us over dinner a couple of weeks ago. When we think of over the road safety in the U.S., we're thinking about DOT standards, operational requirements, safety scores, operability or serviceability of trucks. When you talk about driver safety or over the road safety, when it comes to the Mexican marketplace, you're having a much different conversation. Can you unpack that a little bit for us?
It's believe me, it's very hard, and I respect a lot of. I mean, I respect a lot of competitors from Mexico. There's very good companies, and there's a lot of not good companies. But comparing the U.S., for example, DOT and Mexican regulations is completely different. Uh, it all depends on the company, not the Mexican regulations. Why? There's a lot of stuff that are it's supposed to be not allowed from the government, but a lot of companies do it. For example, hours of driving. That's a good point. I understand that there's the logins in the United States. It's the same in Mexico, but a lot of drivers don't respect that. They can drive 20, 30 hours. And why? I don't know. Probably company owners allow it. And believe me, it's very risky for everyone. Sometimes the Mexican customers or inclusive the US customers, it's why the drivers stop. Hey, in Mexico, no one use a team driver. No one. If you want to speed up or you want to arrive early, you have to, to keep driving. And how you're going to keep driving? They have different strategies. Imagine that. Imagine that. So it depends on the company, it depends on the drivers, but believe me, if we uh, if we make the same than the US in Mexico, we don't have like a future.
Because it's such a very different operating environment, right?
Yes. I mean, for example, we're a city pack company. We have to take a lot of stuff from security. Sometimes the customers don't understand that. It's like, why are you telling me that the driver have to drive 30 hours? It's not possible.
Yeah.
And then when I talk about US, it's like, okay, in the United States, you have to drive 10 or 11 hours. And it's fine because probably they're gonna stop it. Like, yes, it's supposed to be the same in Mexico.
Yeah. So you're saying it's supposed to be the same in Mexico, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's like a double morale like that people have in the US. Like especially like including myself, like since I was born and raised here in Texas, a lot of people think that when you can go to Mexico and let's be honest, in Mexico you can get away with a lot of things um when it comes to the law. So there's that misconception that it applies to business as well. So how Alan was saying that customers, they're like, oh, well, it's Mexico. You can drive 30 hours, like no issue. Uh, but it's not really how it works. There's also regulations uh, that are implemented here, but they're not enforced. Many companies don't enforce them as much as they're enforced in the United States.
So is it more of, so in the United States, so if a driver gets pulled over, that driver is directly impacted by whether or not they're operating within safety standards, right? They can get shut down, taken off the road. In Mexico, it sounds like the driver is not as negatively impacted as the company would be as a whole. So the company can get in trouble for violating the safety standards, whereas the driver is not able to, is not in as much trouble as the company. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, because for example, if one of our drivers makes something bad or illegal or whatever, I mean, they take the truck and that's it. I mean, the other trucks of the company is not impacted by the government. Just the driver on the truck, and that's it. You're able. I mean, you're able to keep working with other customers. No one's care about that.
Yeah, there's really no punishment in terms of a FMCSA score, a safety rating, um, points to the driver's license. In reality, the only way that the driver will be really affected uh, would be if they're a B1 driver. They could potentially lose their B1 visa.
So let's talk about that, because obviously we're talking about two different countries with two different ways of operating. What are some of the challenges? You mentioned the B1 program. What are some of the challenges when drivers cross over the border when they get into the U.S.?
So the main one is B1 drivers, and we're not experts in the matter. Uh, that'd be like CBP, right? But basic knowledge is driver has to cross, deliver point B, and that same driver cannot move or cannot travel loaded miles within the U.S. They have to come back to the border. Same trailer, same truck, same driver. Uh, Back to a border. It can be any border as long as he's heading back south. Um, if the pickup is a couple miles away, they have the ability to drive empty miles, to the deadhead miles, and then come back loaded. But in terms of and here's where there's another issue that's ongoing, and it's a topic within the U.S. There's a lot of B1 drivers that are running intra-USA illegally, um, and then that's where that topic of, oh well, it's because the B1 drivers are affecting the market, uh, and to a certain extent it might be true, uh, but it's also being done against regulations and against the law.
What are some of the challenges when a driver crosses into the U.S.?
I think the first one it could be the culture drivers, and the language. That's a very very interesting point, because sometimes you just believe or you understand that you have to drive, but no, you have to know the basic English so you can understand. I mean, everything about the culture. That's a like the main one for me. The other one could be the explanation that was given Enrique. We have like I can explain like a rule. The B1 driver have to deliver into a place, and then they have some miles to pick up a load and go direct to the border. So sometimes a lot of drivers don't do that, and they start like doing intra US with a B1 drive with a B1 license. That kind of situations, obviously it's not good, but it all depends on the drivers. It's not depends on the company. It depends on the drivers, and that's the difference between the cultures from Mexico and the United States.
Yeah. Do you see a lot of drivers when they get into the States kind of going rogue and doing that and taking loads they're not allowed to take?
Yes. And why? Because the B1 drivers have to pick up in any city in US and go to the border. So if they don't have like they don't have the business to support that times, they start getting another opportunities, but it's not good.
Right, because if you have a load going to Detroit or to Chicago or something like that in the Midwest, it's a long way back to the border, and you may not be guaranteed a load within a 100 or 200-mile radius of where you're
Exactly.
dropping off at. Yeah, and that's
Yes.
a unique challenge.
Yes.
So obviously, we've talked for a little while. today, but I also want to shift gears a little bit. We have the first ever Monterey cross-border connector event coming up in February, and you and your company have offered to be involved in that. To help us understand what's the value in an event that focuses on cross-border, and what do you wish American companies knew about operating in Mexico?
Well, we're talking about us. We on time. I mean, we understand and we agree that the main business partner we have, we can run everywhere. So, for example, if the U.S. companies come to meet Mexican trucking companies, it would be a very good opportunity from the Mexican industry to, as you said, cross the border or cross the border. I mean, not just cross the border. I mean, cross the border in business, in economical growth. There's a lot of opportunity for the Mexican companies, but as we're talking, it's a very different culture. The U.S. companies have to be very carefully to know who is doing business with, especially with regulations. I mean, government regulations and security programs, and especially uh, values of the company.
Well, I think that's one of the biggest draws that we had when it comes to putting an event like this together. The BCS itself was founded on the idea of bringing all the good actors to the same place, all the good companies that are operating with best practices to the same place. I can see that happening in Mexico as we bring the BCS there as well.
Yes, because today, I mean, a lot of Mexican freight that is coming to Mexico or going from Mexico to US, they're moving by 3PLs, freight forwards. And I know there's a lot, but not a lot of them move freight in Mexico. So if anyone wants to move freight from Mexico for the first time, they go direct from the freight broker. So probably could be like a very interesting point next monitoring so they can meet another companies. And I'm pretty sure that if that happens, a good qualified carriers is going to be on a good place.
Absolutely. Well, and one of the unique things about the Monterey Cross-Border Connector coming up next February is going to be the fact that everybody there is going to be, everyone there will be in a leadership position within their companies and within the industry, right? So it's going to be more of an executive level event, talking about how we can systematize best practices, how we can work together and partner together in profitable ways for both U.S. and Mexican companies. So I'm personally very excited about it. I don't know that anybody else has ever tried to do it yet. And so this is going to be very exciting for us. Also, you're going to be joining us, I believe, in Orlando, and you're going to be speaking in Orlando. How excited are you about that?
I'm kind of nervous, but excited. Excited to be there with you guys. Yes.
Yeah, I'm thrilled, my friend. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. I'll probably be in Monterey in the next month or so as well again. So I look forward to seeing you if we have some time to catch up there as well.
Yeah, for sure. Just give us a call and we will be waiting for you.
Excellent.
Thank you, Dan.
All right, that wraps up our show for today, everyone. Thank you very much again for joining us. And again, if you have not signed up yet for the Broker Carrier Summit, early bird pricing is still in effect through August 27th. Visit us at www.brokercarriersummit.com/events to sign up today. So until next time, everyone, take care.